Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my channel? Thank you so much. When I fell into the water, Henry chose to save me. His little childhood sweetheart was sent to the hospital for emergency treatment after choking on water, but she couldn't be saved. After we got married, Henry fell in love with a substitute who looked just like his childhood sweetheart. During the earthquake, he looked at me with bloodshot eyes and said, "Sophia only lived to 18. You and I, Sophia, alive. If we could start over, I would absolutely never choose you." He had his wish. We both died in that earthquake. In this new life, he unhesitatingly bypassed me and tightly grasped Sophia's hand, his eyes filled with endless joy of having regained something lost. The moment I saw Henry pass by me and hold Sophia tightly, I knew Henry had also been reborn. In my previous life on this same day, I fell into the water and Henry saved me, his real girlfriend. But when he turned to look for Sophia after pulling me up, she had already been pushed away by the waves. Henry dived back into the sea without hesitation. Half an hour later, Sophia still stopped breathing in the hospital. A year later, we got married. The day we died was exactly the anniversary of our third wedding. On that day, he wasn't with the substitute of his childhood sweetheart but took me to find her parents. He said, "How can we deserve happiness? Every day we are happy, her parents suffer. Let's go apologize to them. We killed their daughter, and we need to repent." As I stumbled behind him to the childhood sweetheart's house, an earthquake struck. At the moment when the reinforced concrete fell from above, he looked at me with bloodshot eyes and said, "Sophia only lived to 18. You and I are, Sophia, alive. If we could start over, I would absolutely never choose you." Every word was drenched in sorrow. There was no point in regretting. The world reversed at that moment. The hands of the clock turned back, and time flowed backward. So be it. In this life, I no longer owe anything to Henry. In the water, I watched Henry drag Sophia ashore, giving her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, pressing on her heart. When Sophia coughed up her first mouthful of water, he tightly held her in his arms. Though I couldn't see his expression, I knew at that moment he was excited and joyous, having regained what more could one ask for. In the end, I saw him leave with Sophia without looking back. This time he gave up on me as his girlfriend and chose his childhood sweetheart instead. Just moments ago, Sophia had pushed me underwater, and I choked on a few mouthfuls of water. My head was already spinning. Tears fell into the sea, but I knew I couldn't die. I was so weak that I didn't even know if I would survive this time. Just before losing consciousness, I used my last bit of strength to take off my red jacket and wrap it around my hand. When I woke up again, it was 3 days later. My mom's eyes were red, and when she saw me awake, she cried tears of joy. "You stubborn child, you scared me to death." She tightly hugged me, crying hard. She could barely catch her breath. During my recovery, I didn't contact Henry. It seemed he had disappeared from my world and no longer appeared in my life. However, news about him and childhood sweetheart Sophia still uncontrollably reached me. Henry actually took Sophia to see the aurora, and they even wore matching couple rings. I remember Henry said he hated that little tale. "Sophia, what's going on? Emily, did you guys break up?" I opened my phone and saw that Henry had posted several times over the past few days. The auroras in Iceland, the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy, the canals in Venice. In my past life, he had taken the substitute of Sophia to those places. In this life, he took Sophia again. Every post he made included Sophia, as if she were a treasure he had regained, even going so far as to buy a private jet just because Sophia pouted and complained once about a delayed flight. This news exploded in our circle. Even my nemesis Lucas couldn't help but burst into my hospital room, laughing and mocking me. "Ha ha ha, Emily, I told you you'd break up sooner or later. Henry would rather date a nanny's daughter than keep you. TSK TSK TSK. It's as if heaven is watching." My face darkened as I picked up a pillow and threw it at him. "Get out of here, you pervert. I may have been dumped, but at least it's better than being a virgin for 20 years and still having the nerve to laugh at me." Lucas's face flushed, shot me a fierce glare and stormed out. I took a deep breath and finally calmed down. Now that he had regained something he cherished, he was afraid it would melt in his mouth, afraid it would shatter in his palms. But when the vermilion birthmark turned into a mosquito bite, I thought, "Henry, if you really loved her, How could you ignore her in your past life and instead pursue me? Sure enough, within 3 days, Henry's call came through. Staring blankly at the phone, I didn't pick up. I didn't resent Henry for choosing his childhood sweetheart this time, but at least I was still his girlfriend then. Even if he had saved Sophia and casually brushed me aside, I wouldn't have sunk to the bottom of the water, almost losing my life, if it hadn't been for a swimming enthusiast who happened to see my red jacket sinking in the water and thought something was wrong and saved me. My mother would have lost her child to the grave. After that, Henry didn't call me again. When I ignored him, 2 days later I was discharged from the hospital, and Lucas reluctantly helped me carry my luggage. You clearly have a boyfriend, yet you still want me to be your pack mule? I don't care. You owe me a meal, or this is all a waste of my effort. Lucas followed behind me, nagging. I stopped impatiently and said, "What, are you out of things to do? The great artist is following me around like a little lackey? You must be really bored." Lucas was the son of a friend of my dad's. We grew up together in the same gated community. Later, he went to art school while I attended university. I met Henry Lucas when I went abroad 2 years ago and reportedly held several exhibitions, becoming a rising star in the industry. In the past couple of years, I hadn't kept in touch with him, so I was surprised to see this busy guy suddenly back for several days. "I've always been your lackey, you just never noticed me," Lucas continued to ramble. "What did you say? I didn't quite catch that." Lucas shook his head. "Nothing. Let's go eat and shop. You've been stuck in the hospital for a week. You must be going stir-crazy." I definitely was going stir-crazy, so instead of going home, I let Lucas drag me out to shop, eat and watch a movie. Coincidentally, while waiting to enter the cinema, I saw Henry. At that moment, Sophia was sitting on his lap. The two of them pressed together like conjoined twins. With Henry's handsome looks and Sophia's delicate, fragile appearance, they certainly attracted most people's attention nearby. Some even pulled out their phones to take pictures. As Lucas and I walked in with a mountain of snacks, Henry spotted us. I ignored him and grabbed the popcorn bucket from Lucas's hands. "I love this." As soon as I finished speaking, I felt a shadow looming over me. I looked up and saw it was Henry. "Why didn't you answer my calls?" Henry asked, looking displeased. I paused, holding the popcorn. What was wrong with this guy? Before I could respond, the fragile little flower, Sophia, timidly stepped forward. "Emily, I'm really sorry I borrowed Henry for these past few days. I'm so sorry for making you chase us here." With that, the little flower's eyes turned red as if she had suffered a great injustice. How annoying. I was about to toss my popcorn back into the bucket and go off on a rant when someone jumped in ahead of me. "Hey, some people really have thick skin. Why didn't the government use your face to research bulletproof vests? Want to find men? Why not go to a brothel? They're always looking for customers there. Don't show off in front of your sister. No matter how you brag, your man has been used by your sister. You work so hard at night and still have to come out during the day to attract customers. You really are hard at it. How are the men your sister trained? Are they still easy to handle?" I felt my vision go dark. "You can insult me, but don't drag me into this. Lucas, I haven't used them, and who the hell is her sister?" I slapped someone on the arm. "Who else could it be? Haha, who knows if you've used them or not?" I was so angry that I chased after him and gave him a beating. When I finally came to my senses, I realized the little flower had already left and Henry was nowhere to be seen. "What's wrong? Did you feel sad when you didn't see him?" Lucas rolled his eyes and sat down across from me. I was no longer in the mood for jokes. "You think I'm pathetic?" Henry had been flaunting his relationship with a nanny's daughter, practically rubbing the Emily family's face in the dirt. Thankfully, our marriage hadn't been officially settled. Otherwise, it wouldn't just be me who felt embarrassed, but the entire Emily family. Henry's family was prominent in a while. My Emily family monopolized half of the air routes in the same city. If my marriage to him were to be established, it would be Henry's family who'd be climbing high to connect with the Emily family. In my previous life, I lived so wretchedly for 2 reasons. 1, I loved him, and 2, because he saved me that day. Henry and I went to the beach and Sophia tagged along. I never expected her to be so malicious, taking advantage of my moment of distraction to pull me into the deep sea and pressing down on my head, trying to kill me. If it hadn't been for Henry discovering me in time and pulling me up, I would have died that day. However, Sophia got her just desserts when Henry rescued me and tried to pull her up. She had already been swept away by the waves. When Henry found her and took her to the hospital, it was already too late. I was in mute, of course. I told Henry that Sophia had intentionally tried to kill me. Henry didn't say much in response. I thought he believed me, which is why we ended up getting married. But I didn't know if it was true that the living couldn't compete with the dead. After marrying me, Henry's guilt over Sophia seemed to peak. He began to frequently care for Sophia's parents, giving them money and buying them a house. He cared for them as if they were his own parents. He even disregarded the Emily family's reputation, wanting to bring Sophia's parents back to live with us for me to take care of them. It made me feel utterly disgusted. On the day we died, he even drunkenly insisted on going to apologize to Sophia's parents. So be it. In this new life, neither of us owes the other anything. All the affection I had for him had long disappeared under the relentless grind of his past life. Even if we hadn't died in the last life, I was already prepared to divorce him during that time. This lifetime, let him and his little childhood sweetheart be locked together. May they never cause trouble for others again. In the following days, Henry continued to travel the world with Sophia. Over time, friends around me stopped bringing them up and instead mockingly criticized Henry for abandoning his company to pamper Sophia's daughter. You see, Henry's family had a legitimate heir as well. Originally, Henry was favored, and with his mother's pillow talk, he was almost half of the successor to the Henry Group. However, during this period, he not only spent a fortune on a private jet, but also ignored a pile of business matters at the company. This had long made some shareholders very unhappy. Soon, his older brother Alexander, who usually had little presence, was pushed into the limelight. By the time Henry realized he had been overthrown, it was already too late. The president of the Henry Group had long since been replaced by his brother. Actually, I had met Alexander once when he took over the Henry Group. In his previous life, Alexander didn't have it easy. His mother passed away when he was not even 3, and his father married Henry's mother soon after, leaving only Henry. The following year, children with and without mothers live vastly different lives, especially in a wealthy family like the Henrys. After I married Henry, Alexander was quickly marginalized. I never expected that in this life he would seize the opportunity firmly. While Henry was blinded by love and finally returned to the Henry Group, I was at an art exhibition with Lucas when Alexander specifically sought me out. I wonder if there's still a chance to become family with Miss Emily. Alexander glanced at Lucas and then looked at me nervously. Indeed, once Henry and I had loved each other. If I had recklessly married into the Henry Group, Alexander would have had no chance to take control of it. But now I was pleased to see how things unfolded. I shook Alexander's hand. I wish you all the best. In fact, I even lent Alexander a helping hand by introducing him to several big names in the industry. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to take control of the Henry Group so easily in such a short time. I heard that when Henry returned from vacationing with his little flower, he was furious and caused a scene at home. However, it didn't help at all. In the end, he could only settle for the position of general manager. Emily, do you know Henry has really lost his mind in love? He even arranged for Sophia's whole family to join the Henry Group, and I heard they got important positions. Just wait and see. He'll regret it. Our former classmates and friends couldn't believe Henry's actions during this time and inevitably came to vent to me. Just as I was about to reply, Lucas snatched my phone and tossed it aside. Hey, that's really unfair, isn't it? You're with me but still thinking about other men, huh? Since my discharge from the hospital, Lucas had stayed in the country supposedly to take care of me, but in reality, he just dragged me around to eat and drink, leaving little time for painting. Every time I complained, he would say, "What do you know? I'm looking for inspiration." My mom had already been dissatisfied with Henry's recent erratic behavior, and now that Lucas was willing to stay and take care of me, she wholeheartedly approved. She even packed my bags for me and encouraged Lucas and me to go enjoy the beautiful landscapes. Emily, go have fun. Forget all the unhappiness. When you return, I only have one daughter, and when you come back, you need to take over the family business. Your dad and I are getting old, so you have to rely on yourself from now on. Okay. Thinking back to my previous life, I had been so caught up in Henry's manipulation that caused Sophia's death that I hardly had the energy to manage the company. Later, my dad even suffered a stroke. After that, the Emily family gradually declined. In this life, I would make sure to protect the Emile. My family and my parents. After spending more than a month outside to clear my mind, my previously pent-up emotions had indeed dissipated a lot. I had truly let go of everything from my past life. I hardly thought about Henry anymore. However, when I saw a call from Henry, my good mood vanished completely. Emily, why aren't you home? On the other end of the line, Henry sounded like he had been drinking. His voice was low and seemingly not in a good mood. I hung up the phone immediately and blocked all his contact information. After spending months frolicking with his little flower, he didn't even have time to say break up, yet he was calling me now, I thought maliciously. Could it be that he had fallen out with the little flower? But I was already planning to head back. I glanced at Lucas. What's wrong? Are you trying to eat your words? Lucas, who was sitting on the sofa, shot me a glare. This stubborn man. I angrily rushed over to hit him, but this time he didn't let me. Instead, he grabbed my hands, his eyes pleading. Emily, I dropped everything to be with you, but you're ready to go back the moment you get his call. Do you even have a conscience? That's not how it is. I panicked. Seeing him still babbling on, I leaned in and kissed him. The air seemed to quiet for a moment. When I came back to my senses, he had spun me around and pushed me down. Instead, Emily, you're the one who started this. Before he could finish his sentence, he moved closer. That night, two novices played poker together for the first time, and it really was a bit chaotic. Fortunately, although he was a beginner, after finishing one game, he managed to gain a bit of experience. After that, he surprisingly learned how to drive a tractor. We played poker all night, and the next morning I woke up with dark circles under my eyes and a sore back. But he suddenly opened up a new world, becoming very clingy. The flight tickets we had booked were rescheduled, and we ended up going back 3 days later than planned. To my surprise, Henry was waiting at my doorstep. Emily. When he saw me, he couldn't help but tear up. Lucas dropped me off downstairs and left first. He said he needed to go back to pack his things and move in with me soon. Thinking of Lucas gave me a headache. Is there something you want? What I really meant was whether he had something or not, he should leave quickly. Otherwise, Lucas, in his childishness, would probably go crazy if he found out Henry was here. Emily, Henry started trying to take my hand. I jolted and quickly stepped back several paces. Emily, what's wrong? Henry looked at me, seemingly grieved. I felt a bit helpless. What was going on with him today? Emily, where have you been? I couldn't find you. A warm feeling enveloped me from behind, and I turned to see Lucas. He held me and looked at Henry with a half-smile. Hello. May I ask why you're looking for my wife so late? Henry paused, eyes widening. You two are married? I had no idea. Lucas rolled his eyes. Oh, are you? Do we need to report our marriage to you? Ex-brother? It seemed like Henry only then remembered that in this life we hadn't gotten married at all. Now we weren't even boyfriend and girlfriend. He stared at me and could only leave in embarrassment. I have to say, Lucas could be quite adorable at times. Hubby, how come I didn't know we were married? I teased, rubbing his cheek and seeing his eyes filled with pride. Not yet, but tomorrow we will be. Lucas scooped me up and tossed me onto the bed. In the bedroom later, I learned that Henry came to find me because he had a big fight with his little childhood sweetheart. The reason was related to the little sweetheart's parents. Perhaps in his past life, he carried the guilt he felt towards her parents into this one. After they got together this time, he arranged for Sophia's parents to work at the company, but in just over a month, Sophia's parents caused him a huge loss. I heard the Henry Group lost several billion this time, but that wasn't the most important part. The crucial issue was that as chairman, Alexander had to hold Sophia's parents accountable, and consequently, Henry would also bear joint responsibility for this matter because the contract was signed by Henry. After this incident, Henry couldn't even keep his position as general manager. What I didn't expect was that Henry's mother, my former mother-in-law, would come looking for me. Lately, I had started taking over the company and was quite busy, so I arranged to meet her downstairs at my office. Emily's here, come sit. The elegant and dignified mother of Henry instinctively stood up when she saw me and handed over a cup of coffee with a flattering smile. Tired. Her eyes were filled with tenderness, far removed from the criticisms of my previous life. Before I married Henry, she had treated me the same way, but after marriage she changed completely. The most common thing she would say was, "Look at how you're being a wife. As a wife, you can't even keep your husband's heart. You're such a failure. Is Henry going after those two old women again? How are you being a wife? Why don't you stop him, useless thing? If my son gets into trouble outside, I won't let you off. It's just a few women. Why are you making a fuss?" Henry's mother smiled a bit awkwardly. "Emily, I came back to my senses." "What did you say?" Henry's mother paused for a moment, then quickly put on a smile. "I mean, Henry is facing difficulties lately. As his girlfriend, shouldn't you, girlfriend?" "Who, girlfriend?" "Huh. Wife." Lucas suddenly sat down beside me, holding my hand gently. Although he was sitting, there was an inexplicable coldness in his eyes. I shivered. He was angry again, and the consequence of his anger was that I couldn't get out of bed for several days. Thinking about this, I had no mind to deal with Henry's mother. I quickly gave Lucas an assuring glance and said to Henry's mother, "Henry's mother, you must be mistaken. Henry's girlfriend is Sophia. If you have any matters, you should go find her." After saying that, I took Lucas out of the coffee shop. It took quite a bit of effort to soothe him. However, Lucas has been quite busy lately, focused on preparing for an art exhibition, so he hasn't had much time to linger around me. But I never expected Lucas to show up again at my doorstep. "Henry, are you drunk?" "Emily, why are you only back now?" "I have a headache. I want to drink the hangover soup you make," Henry said, looking at me pitifully. In my previous life, every time he got drunk, I would always make him a bowl of hangover soup, but he had never actually drunk it. He either ended up falling down or just left the soup sitting there, never even glancing at it. I looked at the slightly disheveled man in front of me. He was no longer the energetic CEO Henry from my past life. In my previous life, even while reminiscing about his childhood sweetheart and keeping various flings, he was still stable in his position as CEO because I was looking after the company. Now he looked like a stray dog. It seemed like he had come back only to find that his childhood sweetheart had become someone he couldn't shake off, and now he was here to cause a scene. I had just heard today that Sophia was pregnant. Now she was pressuring him to get married. To my surprise, this Henry, who had once longed for Sophia in his past life, came back to find me after learning about her pregnancy. I scoffed. "I heard Sophia is pregnant." "Congratulations." Henry paused, glancing at me awkwardly. "Emily." I walked past him expressionlessly and closed the door. Later, I heard that Henry had married Sophia. I smiled faintly. After all, he had exhausted all his strength in the previous life and even lost both of our lives. How could he let go of everything so easily? I heard that Henry's mother had originally found him a marriage partner, and Henry had already contacted her. However, Sophia made a fuss and even threatened to commit suicide several times. Henry had no choice but to marry her. Henry's mother had to reluctantly accept Sophia, the daughter of their former housekeeper, into their family. As she put it, it felt like eating a fly. I wasn't interested in knowing how their marriage turned out, but Lucas had been busy for quite a while preparing for the exhibition, which finally opened. On the first day of the exhibition, I ended up trending online simply because every single painting was of me. There was me sitting under the starry sky during a trip, me surrounded by neon lights while drinking coffee, even me dozing off in a rattan chair under the afternoon sun. That day, Lucas proposed to me. When the ring was slipped onto my ring finger, I realized how happy it felt to be loved so completely by someone. Henry's side story. I'm back. This time I finally saved Sophia. For the next few days, watching her lie alive next to me, I could confirm that I had truly returned to the past. I took her to see the aurora and bought her the most luxurious clothes and jewelry. When she said flying was too troublesome, I directly bought her a private jet. I pampered her and loved her. But I don't know why my friends started looking at me with increasingly strange expressions. But who cares? Who can understand me? Who can know how many days I spent living in guilt? unable to extricate myself from my previous life. Now that heaven has given me another chance, I will definitely hold on tight. The only thing that bothered me was that Emily was watching a movie with a man. Didn't Emily love me the most in my previous life? No matter how I treated her, she never left my side. But this time when we met, Emily seemed a little different from before. The way she looked at me felt a bit unfamiliar, but I didn't pay it much mind. I was busy pampering Sophia. In this life, I want to make her happy. But gradually, I found life to be a bit dull. Occasionally traveling was fine, but always being on the road? Who could handle that? But as long as Sophia is happy. The blow came from my brother Alexander. He had replaced me and become the president of the Henry Group. My mother called me countless times that night, ordering me to come back immediately. I was dumbfounded. I had never imagined I would lose the position of president of the Henry Group. My mother was pushing hard, but it was all in vain. I could only settle for a secondary position. At that time, I thought if I just tried harder, I could return to my position as president. But I didn't expect that Sophia's parents would cause me a huge problem, and the contract was signed with my name. Now I might even lose my position as general manager. As I walked down the street, I somehow found myself standing at Emily's doorstep. I had been drinking and felt terrible. I remembered that in my previous life, Emily would always make me hangover soup. But now I found that I couldn't even enter through that door. I didn't know why it was like this. I remembered long ago that I didn't love Sophia. At that time, Emily was still my girlfriend. She looked beautiful when she smiled. We pursued her for 2 years. During those 2 years, I exhausted all my strength, and she finally became my girlfriend. But when did I start losing her? Was it the moment Sophia died? Or was it the moment I didn't come home one night after we got married? Or maybe it was when I hurt her time and again. They said we caused Sophia's death. She bore the pain that she shouldn't have had to endure. Or perhaps it was in our previous lives at the moment of our deaths. Do I regret it, Emily?